Wasabi guys, welcome back to another Commander video. This time I would like to discuss some really good pickups in January if we're looking back at the last trip to Ravnica, beginning with Guilds of Ravnica, and then finishing that up in War of the Spark. A lot of really cool cards. I mean, these sets are not filled with super expensive chase cards, but you do get some pretty quality under the radar cards that were quite powerful back during this time. They were even more expensive, of course, because of the impact and standard. Before I get into it though, if you would like to support the channel, consider becoming a member. I have two different tiers available. If you join the Wizard tier, you get priority replies. You also get a badge next to your name. I think that's pretty cool. The Void Mage tier gives you early access to videos, and you get a shout out with your name specifically. So the lone Void Mage tier member so far, David Horvath, thank you so much. I've had memberships open for like a year and I just never really mentioned it in a video. So if you want to see videos like this before anyone else is able to, you can join the Void Mage tier and you'll also get the benefits of priority replies and also the badge next to your name. The first card I would like to talk about is Divine Visitation. Now, most of these have not had the reprint treatment, which means that the value is going to be intact for a lot of these. And Divine Visitation doesn't really do what other cards do. We have a lot of cards in white that might double your tokens, it might populate, it might give you additional tokens, but it rarely ever transforms what your tokens are. Imagine just playing a deck where the average token you're creating is a 1/1 creature with really nothing special going for it. Being able to turn all of those into 4/4s because of this card, it is well worth the 5 mana and just having it sit out there. Now, again, we're not talking about pennies, we're not talking about bulk rares, bulk mythics, so you're still going to pay some kind of premium because it is still a desirable card to many players. However, comparing this premium to the premium of some other cards in Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and War of the Spark, this is a premium that I'm willing to pay for because I genuinely think it's worth the amount of money that you would spend on it right now in 2023. The next card is also from Guilds of Ravnica, Mission Briefing. Now remember when everyone compared this to Snapcaster Mage, and initially its price shot up because of that comparison? Well, today it is nowhere near that. It is by many considered now to be just a bulk rare, which is unfortunate because it's still pretty powerful. If you like Snapcaster Mage but you're more of a Spellslinger focused deck that doesn't really rely on creature ETBs as often, you wouldn't want that kind of creature support, this is still going to help your deck. It's still going to help your storm count, it's still going to help trigger your instant and sorcery focused cards, and you also get to surveil before doing so you might end up getting a better instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. And all for just 2 blue mana. Yes, creature ETBs are more abusable, but this is still very good value for how little you're going to spend on it. The next card is again from Guilds of Ravnica, Mausoleum Secrets. Now, the big distraction here is the focus on only really being able to search up a black card with it, but you're paying 2 mana instant speed to put a card from your deck straight into your hand. You do have to reveal it since it does specify the color of the card, but that's still an incredible deal for, again, only 2 mana instant speed. The condition isn't very difficult to meet. Most black decks have some kind of affinity for the graveyard, and a lot of the best black cards you could play are not going to be that super expensive. When you think about problem solvers, you want a Damnation, that's only 4 mana. Very good card. Again, it's like Mission Briefing, where it's dirt cheap, but you could totally justify it for a deck. If you're like me, you like playing cards that kind of fly under the radar, I think Mausoleum Secrets totally flies under the radar in black. The next card is from War of the Spark. We have Finale of Eternity. Now, compared to some of the other finales, especially the green one, you may not think this is that great. However, if you are willing to spend 12 mana on maybe a game-winning play, then I think it's worth that 12 mana. Because you're not just doing it to bring back creatures from your graveyard and bringing back all of them, you're doing this to get rid of up to 3 target creatures. And don't forget, you can settle on less than 12 mana total. If you don't have the mana, don't feel pressured into waiting for it. Getting rid of up to 3 target creatures is still pretty solid. This is one of those finale cards that I think has been flying under the radar for a long time. I enjoy playing it in black. If you're like me, if you love just playing the average casual commander game, Finale of Eternity is so exciting. Next up, we have a card from, guess what? Guilds of Ravnica, Doom Whisperer, another mythic as well. This card's situation is similar to that of Divine Visitation, where it does still have somewhat of a premium, but the premium is so small now that I think it's well worth it for one of the best self-mill focused cards in black. You don't have to pay any extra mana, you're paying life, which is something that black is committed to doing. You're surveilling 2. If you have a Spellslinger focused strategy, You have several ways of getting spells back from your graveyard or casting them using things like flashback, so it fits into that strategy. Of course, you don't have to worry about Reanimator. This is going to fit in pretty well, allowing you to reanimate creatures pretty quickly. All of this in addition to having crazy stats, a 6/6 flying trample creature for only 5 mana in black. It doesn't really get much better than that. Next, we have Biomancer's Familiar. This is a very specific card. Again, this is going to be more if you like to fool around with commanders like Kenrith, you could totally justify its placement in that strategy. I'm totally in it, though, for the future potential. It's not super common to have this cost reduction for activated abilities of creatures, but when you get it, you can make running whatever commander deck you have so much easier. And activated abilities on good commander options, I don't think they're going away anytime soon. Keep in mind it doesn't reduce it below 1 mana, but that's still great reduction. It's only a 2 mana creature, it's not a crazy investment for those decks. And speaking of green and blue, we have Prime Speaker Vanifar. It felt like this commander fell off the face of the earth. Either that or it's really just a good commander for the combo potential and the ability to play your entire deck if you know exactly what you're doing, which isn't super fun for the average commander player, I understand that. That being said, you still basically have a birthing pod creature that you can throw into other green and blue decks. It doesn't have to be all about Vanifar herself. You can supplement another great strategy in green and blue, and I think just being dirt cheap, this great mythic creature from Ravnica Allegiance, it's an amazing pickup right now. What's an even better pickup right now, in my opinion, is Teysa Karlov, also from Ravnica Allegiance. You get pretty much one of the only cards that is going to interact with dying in the same way that a Panharmonicon would interact with creatures entering the battlefield. What's even crazier about this is if you have permanents that trigger off of your opponent's creatures dying, Teysa will also give you an additional trigger for those. And if that wasn't enough to sell you on this human advisor, creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink, not just 1 good keyword, but 2, making your creature tokens that much more viable in combat. An amazing commander, an amazing one of the 99 for aristocrat strategies. If you don't have a Teysa Karlov and you're a fan of white and black, you have not lived yet. Next we have Underrealm Lich, another card from Guilds of Ravnica, another mythic from Guilds of Ravnica, and a very affordable one too. If you're a fan of Doom Whisperer and why I support Doom Whisperer as a card being a great pickup right now, great value card, Underrealm Lich is like that, but for Golgari. A lot of self-milling in Golgari, and while this isn't going to steal the show, it's going to provide you with exactly what you want. You're not going to be drawing cards. You're going to be more selective with what you put into your hand and what you end up having in the graveyard. And it's very resilient because you can pay for life, make it indestructible until end of turn, and tap it. So it's going to be an absolute hemorrhoid for your opponents to deal with, while also fueling what you wish to accomplish in those Golgari colors. And the last card that is a great pickup, even though it got a reprint in Double Masters 2022, Thousand Year Storm is dirt cheap. It's pretty much a bulk rare from that Double Master set. That being said, it's still a crazy card that you should include in any blue and red Spellslinger strategy. It really doesn't take that much to go off and win with this card. Your deck's filled with cantrips. Well, if you have a way of getting extra mana playing things like rituals, you're not really going to have a problem if you can just cantrip into your next cantrips and then benefit off of some Storm Wincon or some type of Aetherflux Reservoir. Even without the direct Wincon, still benefiting off of copying your instants and sorceries this often in a single turn is going to put you well ahead of your opponents. I don't always recommend cards because I think they're good pickups that could potentially gain more value over time. It's that I personally think that they're undervalued, regardless of whether or not I think they have the potential to go up anytime soon. They belong in commander decks. They're really good cards. So, if you enjoyed this video, again, become a channel member. I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy keeping the Commander Void channel around. I know Wizards of the Coast is turning off several people, and it might seem harder and harder to stay in touch with Magic the Gathering and feel the same way you used to, but you have to believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I want to be here with you guys to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Better days are surely ahead. Make sure to at least subscribe to the channel. I like having you guys around here. Commander Void here signing off. I will see you all next time.